How's it going, everyone? My name is Coda, and welcome back to another episode in my survival world. Yep, I did. I got a new skin, and I released a short about it, so if you guys haven't seen it, go and check that out. But I thought it was time for an upgrade, and it was time for me to have a skin that represent what I actually look like in real life, and it was a little more unique than that last one. Go ahead and let me know what you think about this skin down below. But anyway, today's plans. Ever since we moved to this area, this mountain has been the backdrop of every single build that we've created. Now this range stems from right here in the center over this way to where our starter house is, and then over across the other way down to the coast and where we have that turtle sanctuary. Now this area looks sort of good. It's not, the best looking hills. This area I did do a lot of terraforming in the beginning. Now the hall I did not do any terraforming for. Today I want to focus on incorporating a uniform terraforming experience throughout these hills, this mountain, and these hills over here. I've laid out a lot of future plans for how I want this town and this village area to kind of expand, and having this weird terraforming or these weird natural generations in some of these areas is kind of getting in the way. And I love Minecraft generation, but this isn't the best generation ever. There's a few too many sticky outy bits that don't look the best. Today we're going to terraform, and we're going to start where I should have started a lot of episodes ago. This build looks really cool from the inside, but from the outside, I have not done anything with it, and I cannot believe y'all let me get away with this. It's just been sitting here since that episode, and it's in desperate need of some changing, because right now it is floating, it has no exterior, and it just doesn't look right. So today we're going to start here, and hopefully narrow down a style that we're going to continue all throughout our base area. Now, I have been doing a little bit of resource collecting for this project. I don't have a palette in mind yet, but I do have a couple of blocks that I think I'm going to use. So obviously we're going to use a lot of bushes, and I really like the way that azalea leaves look. I think they're probably the best looking leaf, and they also don't have like a biome specific shade, so you can put them anywhere and they'll look the exact same everywhere you go. Now, I also have a lot of green terracotta, green concrete, and green concrete powder, and then a lot of moss. And these blocks will be most of the green bits that we incorporate. We're obviously going to have a lot of grass and a lot of dirt, but these green bits are going to provide a nice pop of color in wherever the rest of this green is. Kind of like this hill does here, but not in this style. Because while I do like the terraforming that we did on that hill, I think it's a bit much. And if we try to do all of this all over the mountain, it might just look a little too busy. So I'm going to try a little bit more of a simple approach to the terraforming that we do for this entire area. So we've got all these green blocks. We've got this dirt, this grass, a lot of coarse dirt, some rooted dirt that I collected up, lots of sand for some beaches that we can incorporate along that side, which I do love what we did with the beaches in this area. These beaches and this peninsula that we created, these are probably my favorite bits of terraforming. So we're going to incorporate a lot of this stone looking pallets into wherever we have stone on our build, which I did also collect some for, but distractions. I got lots of mangrove roots, lots of moss carpets for the beaches that we're probably going to incorporate on that side of the build. And then here I was talking lots of stone, lots of mossy cobblestone, lots of tuff. Again, I really haven't experimented much with this, so this haul of trophies will be kind of my test, and I don't know, this is pretty much just going to be me experimenting. Now first, I went ahead and trimmed down this sort of awkward cliff face that we had going on, and then I went about expanding the terraforming in the terrain around the backside of the trophy hall. Now, quick disclaimer, I did install FreeCam to try and help me save a little bit of time and help me visualize where I wanted the terraforming to go and kind of help me see it from a better perspective and a better angle. Yep, I like it a lot more than what it looked like. Of course, anything that we put down here was going to be better than what it was. And now that we've got the terraforming around the Hall of Champions or Hall of Trophies or whatever it's called, and the terraforming done here, the path laid out, and this arch finished up, I think this side of the base is well taken care of. That means next we either work on this area or we work on the mountain. And I'm kind of feeling like working on the mountain right now. Now this thing has been the backdrop of our base since we first settled in here. You can see there's still remnants of the first village, but those remnants kind of leave some weird looking shapes jutting out from the side of the mountain. And these shapes aren't the best, and they're certainly not very mountainy, so we're going to tackle these first and some of the other jut out bits here and there. And then I think I'm going to go around and try and fix parts like this, where I don't know why it just cuts off like this, but it does. But we're going to fix little bits like this and then try and add a couple of outlines here and there, like right there, to make it more of like a mountain. But overall, I think the shape of this mountain will probably stay pretty similar to what it is right now. And we are not going to go through and do the terraforming that we did on the outside of this trophy hall over here. We'll stick to a similar theme of, say, this, but we're not going to go in and add all these acacia logs, the coal, the moss, all that stuff. We're just going to keep it real simple. But before we can get started, of course, I have to find a distraction. Now, I left my beacon over at the mining mesa, and I really didn't feel like getting it, and I need more beacons anyway, so I figured why not head to the nether and try and get myself some wither skulls so I can get another beacon. And that's what I did. I had pretty good luck for the first skull, and then I spent about 40 minutes at that fortress trying to get third. So my luck kind of turned on its head, but it's okay. Got that beacon, got it set up, and got straight to work on this mountain. Now, I've never done a terraforming project quite on a scale of a mountain, so I figured to help myself kind of break it down into smaller chunks. I'd try and outline it, and then that way it also helped me get the shaping down without having to fully fill everything in, go back and, trim stuff down. Just outlining seemed to be the best way to go. But of course, there were a lot of areas that I had to just get rid of from the original mountain that was in the way. And that was really just because I couldn't quite visualize it with all the extra stuff there, so I just felt it was easiest to just take it all out and we'll put it back later and don't have to worry about it. Yeah, this kind of took a bit of a different direction than I originally thought it would. But, I am very happy with how it came out. It looks like a mountain, and that's all I could ask for. And, this is actually my first ever mountain that I've created in, anything. I've done small, little, terraforming jobs sort of on this scale, but nothing quite this large. And it honestly, I'm very happy with the way it came out. Now, with the outlines in place, it's time to fill it in, and that part's probably going to take a lot longer than it did to outline, which I did spend probably a good 6 to 8 hours outlining. Now, with areas like these, I wanted to try and create the feeling of natural wind erosion. Later, you'll see we'll add a bunch of texturing to it to make it feel like it's just really worn down. And I think this way it adds a lot of life and character to the mountain and just that a little bit of extra visual interest. After I finished filling in all the outlines, the back felt like it was just a little out of place. So I tried to extend these kind of tendril looking things from the mountain and try and make them feel like they're settled into the earth more to help the mountain just kind of feel like it's supposed to be there. Now, there is a chance I slightly misjudged the size of this project by just a very small amount. Yeah, this thing took me roughly 12 hours to make. It was about 3 days of just nonstop stone placing. But I am very happy with the way that it turned out. The general shaping, the way that it looks with the build, I think all of it just works very well in this area. Now, it's not quite finished. We do have a few more things to add to this mountain, but nothing near as crazy as putting this entire mountain here in the first place. The hard part is out of the way, but now I want to add some stripes here and there on the mountain and a little bit of texturing around the base of it. I'm hoping this will help it feel a little more in place here. I did try a lot with the shaping of this mountain to try and make it feel like it felt right on this bit of land here, but you can really only do so much. So hopefully with this little bit of texturing materials, we'll be able to get a base around the mountain laid out, and it'll help it feel like it belongs here. And then with the calcite and the diorite, these are for the stripes that we're going to add. I want to keep this mountain very stony, and around the stony peaks you have white stripes of calcite, or even like snow if you want to think of it like that. But those are the blocks that we're going to be using to add just a little bit of color to the mountain, but we're not going to go all out. It is going to remain a very stony looking mountain for the most part. But yeah, we're almost there. Oh yeah, that's perfect. I think 4 of them ought to be enough. And that's not just because I don't want to waste my calcite. Okay, it might be a little bit. But no, I have future plans for this side of the mountain, so we're not going to actually put anything up this side. But we got to continue making progress for now. And here is the texturing that I was talking about earlier. You can see I added some mossy cobblestone at the bottom of this ridge, because I imagine it like there's so much wind that's cut through here that it's kind of created a little pond where rainwater and whatnot collects and creates moss along all the cobblestone. And during this process, I was reminded that tuff actually exists. And so I went back to the trophy hall and replaced all the coal blocks with tuff, and it looks so much better. And to finish off some of the detailing around the base of the mountain, I added some mossy cobblestone, some regular cobblestone, just to kind of feel like little boulders that are nestling their way into the ground around where the mountain is sitting. You know, it's not much, but it gets the job done. I decided against adding the coarse dirt everywhere just because I'm not too big a fan of the way that the coarse dirt looked, and I think this does what it needs to. Now, of course, eventually this mountain will be nestled in right between all these builds that we have planned out. All the builds are going to be all around this area, so really, it's not too big a deal what it looks like right now, because really, it's just about setting up this area with a nice backdrop that complements everything we're going to add. And I think it's safe to say that now that we've got those final bits of detail in, this project might actually be done. Of course, the episode is nowhere near done, but the biggest part of it is done for now. Well, I say for now, but actually, as you might have guessed, there is a ginormous hole in the center of this mountain. And there may or may not be a few trapped animals in here that we need to rescue at some point. But my question to you is, do you have any ideas for what we could put in this mountain? It's like begging to have some kind of a farm put in here. Now we have pretty much the entire space to fill, and I don't really know what to put in here. Of course, I will finish hollowing it out if there is an idea that I want to put here. So if y'all have any suggestions, you know what to do. But now the last thing that we need to do for today's episode is rearrange our entire base. This is a base transformation after all. Now I started today's episode with ambitions to finish this side of the mountain range as well. But if I'm being honest, I'm a little bit tired of terraforming. And much like the main town area here, I don't want to start work on this section of our base without really a plan in mind. I know the base is going to expand over into this area, and I know I want to start creating much bigger builds than what we started out with. But I don't really want to do all this terraforming and then eventually tear it out or use something entirely different. And really, the point of doing those two projects over there was because they did not look very nice. And now that we've got them looking nice, this part over here doesn't look that bad. I mean, I can live with it for now. But I think all the plans that we laid out a few episodes ago are going to have to change probably a lot. Because you see, I have an idea for our villagers over there. I did want to move the breeder, but I got a little ambitious with my plans to move the breeder. So now I've got a ginormous build planned for next episode. The whole point for having a good infrastructure for these villagers was so that we could expand easily into creating a building or a set piece for every single villager profession. Now there are 15 professions in total. So far, we've tackled 2 of them. And I guess technically 3 because we have our farmers over here, but they don't actually have a build yet. And my philosophy behind laying all these plans out the way I did was that we had a build for each profession. But after creating the Iron Factory, it feels like these size of builds don't really fit in this world anymore. And with the scale that I ended up creating the main villager set piece that we're going to be building in next episode, it's really hard to justify these small, in comparison, build spaces. So I think what we're going to do is tear out everything, minus, the actual builds, but we're going to tear out everything and sit here and think really hard about the layout and the way that we want the town to go. And then after that, we'll lay out some roads and definitely finish some areas like this and get a little bit better of a plan going. Which, if you know me, you know I'm a big fan of planning. Now, after I took the colorful concrete out, I traded it in for some iron blocks with signs on top, something simple that wouldn't quite overwhelm my visual understanding of what was going on. And so you'll see those dotted around as I'm working through this terraforming. But you might be thinking, Coda, you said you weren't going to do terraforming today. Well, as I was placing all these signs and these iron blocks around and just kind of, diving into my imagination of where everything was going, I got completely inspired to complete the terraforming in this area. And I guess not complete it, because if I tried to complete it, then this episode would not come out for another week or so. But work on it to the best of my ability for now and lay some foundational groundwork for what I want the terraforming to look like in the rest of the area. We did get a good chunk of the area where I want to expand rather quickly or expand sooner, but really I was just focused on getting these ideas down, and it wouldn't really feel like a complete base transformation if we didn't completely transform what was once our base area. Now with the 2 sets of farmlands in place, I went to work on the footpaths around the area, and then after that, I went into placing where the bigger kind of cart roads are going to go. And my thoughts behind that is just kind of roads that are going to be big enough for carts to drive down. But anyway, that's where the blue lapis is sort of like loosely outlining. Looking around at all the progress that we made on the base in this episode, I really can't help but smile. It's from where we started to where we ended up here, I just think we have made leaps and bounds towards the future of our base. I know it may look a little weird right now with the way that the plateaus are set out, but if you just take a look at this section of the base, you see how it all is just filled in, and there's still some areas back there that we haven't even touched yet. And that's the whole idea of trying to make a base of this style. I just want there to be interest in your eyes. Like anywhere you look, you can pick out something that just has some sort of interest. And I think that these future plans we've laid out will help us accomplish just that. Once we actually start filling this area with builds, it'll feel a lot more homey, a lot more cozy. And already, from the plans that we started with a few episodes ago to where they're at now, it feels so much better. And I have such a great feeling about the way that this base is going to expand. And honestly, I'm very pleased with how the mountain came out. I think it looks incredible. I'm really at a loss for words. I think that really just goes to show how much more we have to learn and how much more we have to achieve in this world. Now, if you're as excited for these future plans as I am, be sure to subscribe. Before we go, I did want to show you all the plans that I had laid out, but in a little bit of a different fashion, so I'm not forcing you guys to watch it. So if you're interested in those, stick around for the last section of this video. But if not, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you sticking around to the end of this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.